Oh, no. Okay, here we go. Hey, thanks, guys, for watching another Jaguars United live show. I think the title is all here and what we're talking about tonight. We're going to be talking about the future of Cj Henderson and what could be going on with him. I mean, he's an important piece. He's a guy that was brought in last year in the first round, so it's kind of a big deal if he doesn't make the team next year or he gets traded or something like that. So I want to get into all your comments and thoughts about him for sure. Before we do, I got to pump the social media, the Twitter at Jaguars_United, Instagram Jaguars_United_. Make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel so you get notifications when we do live shows. We do a bunch of live shows so that the fans can get involved and that the community can get out there and the Jags fans can kind of give us their opinion. This industry is very heavy on writers and radio hosts and media personalities, and not enough fan interaction, in my opinion. So that's why we're here at Jaguars United. There's the brief history. Let's jump right into it. Jags history, jumping in with the first comment saying Duval, A Sharpshooter, Gavin Baker, Charlie Boy. What's up, Charlie Boy? DJM, always love having you here, DJM. Beanie Baby, what's up? Gavin, Wydock. Oh, I haven't seen you in a while, Wydock. Good to see you. Jags history, we'll get to that. So basically, Gavin Baker's going to kick us off by saying he types this in all caps in the chat. He says, "I called the Cj Henderson on the last stream, Jason. I told you I had a funny feeling." You're not alone, Gavin. I mean, I think some people were definitely surprised when he wasn't showing up. The whole exercise bike in front of the training camp thing. There was a lot of smoke there. We just hadn't really seen him and heard much about him. But, yeah, good call for sure. YDog5K says, we all kind of saw this coming, but hoped it didn't happen. Yeah, I mean, I have a film breakdown from like a year ago where I broke down his college film, and I was like super pumped about him coming to Jacksonville. His athleticism was insane through the roof. Just a prototypical man cover corner. I really liked his game, and it was sad to see that, it didn't quite work out for him for sure. It may still. I mean, I'm not giving up hope, so I don't think I'm giving up entirely hope yet, but Wydock says no drama queens. And he's kind of talking about Jags history, saying is Michael Thomas coming to Jacksonville. I mean, there was all that talk because Urban Meyer coached Michael Thomas, and it could be a reunion. But both of those guys ended up kind of being drama queens, like Wydock says. Moon Illusion says hopefully CJ is all right. Hope they can get him some help this week. Let's get him back to practice. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. I mean, if it turns into it being like a mental health issue like some people have talked about, then obviously we wish nothing but the best for the guy. I mean, like, no one in their right mind is going to get on a guy if he's legitimately having like mental health issues. But I don't really want to like discount it straight to that, because the fact of the matter could be that he doesn't want to be in Jacksonville. It didn't look like he wanted to be in Jacksonville when he got drafted. He never really was the type of guy that was like out there talking about the fans and things going on. So he never really built like that camaraderie with fans, right? You look at guys like Shaq Griffin, you look at guys that have kind of talked about the community and the fans, and they're a little more like people will rally around them, whereas I feel like people now with CJ Henderson are just kind of like, whatever happens, happens. The chat is popping off. I appreciate it. This is a community show, so if I do miss your comment, just repost it, and I'll try to get to it for sure. Jason Ortiz says, everyone is jumping to conclusions way too quickly on this situation. I agree 100%. I feel like this is just like the time of year where there's no storylines. We haven't had a storyline on CJ Henderson like yet. So I feel like we're due for something on him. And you're right, though. I mean, there's no reason why this should be a storyline more than it is. Urban Meyer's answers were kind of weird when they asked him about what he thought about him. But Urban Meyer's going to keep his cards close to his chest anyways, so I think there's all these people out there trying to like infer what Urban Meyer meant when he said, I don't know if Henderson will be ready or what's going on, because he just quite frankly may not know. I mean, there is the possibility that Henderson just kind of got out of shape from COVID and is just needing to get back in shape. I mean, that's best case scenario, I think. DJM says, Henderson for Ramsey. Kid Get Money says, what's up, Jags chat? What's up, Kid Get Money? I like that name. I hope you are getting money. I really do. Jersey Jaguar. Watch him show up tomorrow and the story ends. That would be great. I mean, I don't think anyone would be more excited than me. I mean, I've been gassing CJ Henderson up. Like I said, if you haven't watched my film breakdown on him, Go back to the channel when I did film breakdowns of all the draft picks. I mean, the dude shut down some pretty serious corners. I mean, I think within a season, he went up against some pretty good receivers in the SEC. I mean, he went up against those Alabama receivers, the LSU receivers. He played pretty well against Justin Jefferson and the guy that was drafted first this year. So he has some pedigree of playing against them. Some good receivers. Long John Silver 85. I would like him in the slot if we keep him. That's interesting. I kind of saw Tyson Campbell as more of that slot DB, in my opinion, just because he plays such good man defense that I kind of wanted Campbell to kind of be in the slot. I mean, the toughest thing to defend is when you're covering a guy in man in the slot and he runs like a drag route on you or a slant. That's insanely hard to cover in man coverage. Tyson Campbell can do that. Henderson is very sticky. He's very fundamental. Like when you look at a DB and you coach a DB, like one of the things that they do, if you've never played the position or played football, is they do what's called a W drill, right? Basically where you backpedal, break forward, backpedal, break forward, and you alternate with which foot you're breaking forward on. It's a very, very classic DB drill. It's like what you start every practice with. If you watch the Jaguars, you'll watch the DB coach put them through this just because it warms you up. It warms you up planting and driving. And like in those drills, like that's where you can kind of see where DBs set themselves apart from other players, from how quickly they can change directions, how strong they drive that plant foot, and how good of an angle they take with that drive foot. So Cj Henderson, I remember watching him. I mean, he was pretty exceptional at all those things. And I think that's one of the, not that one drill alone, but that type of thing, like that type of athleticism that you see was what made Cj Henderson drive up the draft boards in 2020. I mean, he really didn't have that many interceptions at Florida. It was more of just his like all-around potential that made him there for sure. Maverick Harden says, "Hey, Jaguars United." What's up, Maverick Harden? How's it going? Jimmy Brown says, "Didn't Urban praise him when he got the job?" That sounds vaguely familiar. I mean, look, Urban Meyer follows college sports, so I mean, like I said, there was a lot to like about him. Nolly Full Cap says CJ is the reason Taven had a black eye. I hope that's true. I do hope that's true. Moon Illusions, it's probably going to bother him now since these tweets came out. Maybe. DJM, I don't know if you know Jason San, but you made it into UCF's vlog. Oh, I know I made it. I was in the chat during the vlog premiere. And he was here, man. That was a good vlog. I got to give it to him, man. He's better at all that stuff than me, man. I'm not good at like making vlogs or post on Instagram. I just suck at that stuff. YDoc 5000. CJ is solid. I would love this to be rumors and he stay. Yeah, I'm with you there, YDoc, 100%. Magic Fan Ben. What's up, Magic Fan Ben? What's up with our Magic? What are they going to do, man? Who's going to play the point guard? Is it going to be Cole Anthony? Is it going to be Markelle Fultz? Is it going to be Suggs? I don't know. But Magic Fan Ben says, we don't know what's truly happening. If it's mental health, don't the Jags have a responsibility to support him? Put him on the non-football injury IR before selling him for pennies on the dollar. Well, you know what's interesting about the trade rumors, right? If you notice the tweet that came out about the trade rumors, it wasn't like the Jaguars are shopping CJ Henderson. The tweet was NFL teams believe that he is tradable. Like, what does that even mean? Like, it sounds like something that CJ Henderson's agent put out there. It sounds like some teams that needed a cornerback, like, kind of heard some things and saw some smoke, and they reached out to the Jags, and word travels quick in the NFL circles, and all of a sudden he's tradable, but nothing came out from the Jaguars. I mean, in fact, the Jaguars came out and said that everything's good. So I think this is going to be pretty atypical of Jaguar fans, but I think you guys have the right idea in this chat of like, let's chill. Let's just chill a little bit. Like, let's not jump to conclusions like entirely yet. Jags history says he was also one of the best corner rookies from last year. He definitely played well at the beginning of the season. Moon Illusion says, not really. He fell off hard after the first few games. Well, he did play well at the beginning of the year, Moon Illusions. You know it, Moon. Jags history, true. Agreeing. No, that's not. Look, you guys are the most docile chat I've ever seen. Kevin says, CJ Henderson for Michael Thomas straight up. Who says no? Maybe have to throw an extra late round pick too. I think the Saints would say no to that because Michael Thomas is legit. Like, isn't he the best receiver in football when he's healthy? Devontae Adams maybe has something to say about that. But if you're going to be trading the best receiver, we'll say the top 5 for argument's sake. If you're going to be trading the top 5 receiver in football, a rookie corner with potential mental issues is going to require a package with some picks. And I don't know if a late round pick would be good enough. I think a fourth, third. I mean, we're talking about Michael Thomas here. I mean, we're not talking about some slappy dude. I mean, like Michael Thomas would immediately be the best receiver the Jags have had since Jimmy Smith. So maybe Allen Robinson, I don't know how I feel about him, but I mean, Michael Thomas is pretty good. Kev B says CJ's future is struggling to clear 50 to 80K a year, like the rest of us, while treated like a nobody. Welcome to the club. And if he's done with football after one season, a lot of his bonuses will get reclaimed. Yeah, there's no way that he can quit football after one season. He would have to pay back a lot of money. I believe I heard somewhere that if it is a mental health issue, that they can't take that money back. So they have to help him, which rightfully so. But it looks like the route he's taking. Jags history. But I hope they don't trade him. Yeah, I think we're all in that same boat. DJM, do you think the Saints will trade Michael for Gardner and Henderson? Ooh, I don't want another wide receiver and Gardner to leave, but do you think it's a possibility? I mean, I saw some people saying that, like, Marvin Jones would get traded potentially because the Saints are pretty thin at wide receiver. Like, would you trade Michael Thomas and then give Henderson and Chark? I'm not necessarily saying I would. I'd have to think about it a little bit, but like off the top of my head, I feel like I would take that trade. I mean, if Henderson doesn't want to be here, Thomas is an immediate upgrade from Chark. Chark's kind of questionable to me, so I don't know. Maybe it's something that y'all can answer. I mean, would you trade Chark for Michael Thomas and CJ Henderson? Maybe they throw in like a fourth or something like that. Kev B, he was trashed by week 3 versus Dolphins when he stopped trying. Moon Illusion says, Michael Thomas has indicated he doesn't want to play with New Orleans. I assume he wants out. And then he goes on to ask, did you see the tweet about Urban and Charlie Strong showing up to his house? I did see that Dillo posted on Twitter that Meyer and Strong went to his house, which that's crazy. I mean, if you can't get a hold of a guy and you have to go to his house, like that's not good. That's not good at all. Maybe Henderson knows his potential and knows that, you know, some team's going to want him. But, I mean, if you're not communicating with your new head coach, like that's not a good sign. I mean, think about any place you've worked. I mean, we've talked about us in the chat making our measly 50 to 80K. Like, whoever said that must be nice. If you had a new boss, would you go MIA on them? I mean, it wouldn't make any sense. Steve Boston with the $5 donation. Steve, thank you, my guy. I appreciate it. He says, I know Urban was his coach, but we don't want that baggage with Thomas. We're trying to loose the baggage. Steve, thank you so much for the $5. I appreciate that. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, is it an issue where Michael Thomas is just like doesn't want to be in? Why wouldn't anyone want to be in New Orleans? I mean, that's a solid thought. If you're like demanding a trade from New Orleans, like I know they're projected to be bad without Drew Brees, but is it that bad of a situation? I mean, Sean Payton's still your coach. I mean, you have a quarterback battle going on. The team's not completely desolate. I mean, I don't know. That is weird. I mean, that those are two players with red flags. And I think a lot of people are saying that. I mean, that's two players with some massive red flags, and I don't know if a swap would necessarily be good for either team. I think y'all are right. Maverick Harden, we need Gardner Minshew. We need a good backup quarterback. Yeah, but you know what's better than a backup quarterback is a good number one receiver. Gavin Baker says, anytime a starter leaves the Jags, it feels like a bad breakup, man. You know, there's an old saying about companies and corporations that if all your employees always leave on bad terms, there's a problem with the leadership. When you look at I know it happens in the NFL. I mean, it's a business, but if all of your people are leaving on bad terms, like maybe we should reevaluate how we're handling things. I don't know. Kev B, Urban was just telling him to downsize his crib. I don't know where that's coming from, but that's okay. Long John Silver 85. He should be drug tested, LOL. I mean, it depends on what type of drugs you're looking for. I mean, if you're looking for any drug like weed, I mean, you're probably going to suspend half the league. If you're looking for some of the more serious stuff, then, you know, maybe that is something to look into for sure. DJM, Urban, let's make it happen. Henderson and Chark for Thomas. Look, I mean, I would be fine with that. I mean, I like it for sure. It's Reese with a $10. Dude, y'all are the best, dude. $10 donation for the Jags chat. I love it. He said, I finally made it here. Let's go. LOL. It's Reese, bro. Thank you, man. Having a lot of fun here talking CJ Henderson and Jags. So, yeah, welcome. Brett E says he would do that trade with Chark for Michael Thomas. Chark has only had 1 year left on his deal and is nowhere near proven of a wide receiver as Thomas is. I mean, you would have to package him with Henderson, which I guess would be it. Magic fan Ben says, I wouldn't trade for Michael Thomas. He's a possession receiver that had all-world chemistry with Breeze. Isn't talking to his team, is injured and crazy expensive. LOL, I'd rather play things out with DJ Chark. Okay. So then you see, I mean, they're both sides. I mean, again, I was just kind of spitballing, throwing it out there. I don't know. I would have to think about it. And I mean, I totally forgot he was on the last year of his deal until Brett E brought it up. But yeah, I mean, there's a lot to think about there for sure. It's Reese says, bye-bye, CJ. Yeah, I know. It's sad. Kev B says, Urban went to his house to talk about what job paid for the house. Oh, gosh. I mean, Urban does not cut any slack for these guys, man. I love it. I love it for sure. Y-Dog says, if we do look to trade CJ, would you want a pick or a tight end or what? If it was just straight up CJ and we weren't losing any players, I mean, I would like to get a pick probably. I mean, no player. You're not going to add any player to this team that's going to put us over the hump, right? If we're at 8 to 9 wins right now, and you bring in one player, I mean, what's that going to get us? Like, I don't know. I just can't see a team trading a player good enough to give us more wins in this deal. I don't know. Steve Boston with another dude. Thank you, Steve. Another $5 donation from Steve Boston. He says, and also, honestly, you're getting a wide receiver who mainly runs a limited route tree that consists of slants, screens, and comebacks. Chark, you got more versatility. Now, I get your point, Steve, and I do appreciate the $5. Thank you. But I'll play devil's advocate here because Chark showed us that he kind of played more of a. I mean, Urban Meyer even called him out for playing like a small receiver. I mean, he played the vertical route, he played the deep post, he played, the drag. I mean, he wasn't playing like the big body post up comeback receiver. There's no doubt about it. Michael Thomas is a much, much better receiver than DJ Chark. I mean, when it comes down to production, I know he had Breeze, and I know that system helps, and I know Chark has had the lack of a system. But, I mean, Michael Thomas, that's a player that might get you 2 or 3 wins in a season. Like, there's not a lot of players you could add to your team that a team would be willing to trade that you could put on this roster that would give you 2 to 3 wins. And Michael Thomas might be one of them. So, I appreciate it, and you could be right, but I'm still a little unproven on DJ Chark. I mean, he's got some stuff to show me this year. Jags History says he would like to keep Chark. Base Mover says, LOL Jags United, great attitude, makes us donate to him. Is that what it is? My attitude? Oh, dude, that's easy, bro. I can keep that going. It's Reese says, please keep Chark. Jersey Jaguar, I wouldn't trade DJ Chark. I think him, Visca, and Jones will be a lethal starting 3. Nick F19 says, I think Chark has a high upside and won't cost as much as Michael Thomas. Plus, CJ athletically has top 10 cornerback upside. Get him a therapist or counselors around him and keep him unless we get a middle to high first. I think that's what ends up happening, Nick. I think you're pretty much predicting the future. But, we're going through some thought experiments here. But I think you're right. I think you're kind of on what will happen for sure. Steve Boston says, we know something is going to happen. They took another cornerback on waivers Sunday from Arizona. Yeah, that's true. They did pick up a dude on waivers for sure. And the Jags have like the number 1 waiver order. I mean, once the first cuts come through, so they have the chance of getting a good player again from the waivers. You're right, though. I mean, they're definitely. But who you look? I mean, if Henderson's not on this team, you're looking at a guy like Chris Claybrooks, like getting playing time, which is. I don't know about that. Long John Silver 85 says Chark was playing the same way he did in college. Yeah, that LSU offense was pretty intense, and it kind of helped him play that way. I don't know. We'll see about Chark. I'm not like getting rid of him, but I'm not really like sold on him like I used to be. That's all I'm saying. Tekken is my world. Says, what's up, Jason? Dude, what's up, Tekken? I haven't played Tekken in a while. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I know those games are hard, but I know they play competitively, but I'm more of a shooter than myself. Magic Fan Ben says, man, we act like DJ didn't make a Pro Bowl 2 years ago with a 6th-round pick throwing him the ball. Magic Fan Ben, yeah, I think you're right. Tekken is my world says, I'd keep Chark. Long John Silver 85 says, CJ is AJ Boye. I hope not. I hope not. I mean, Boye did have that good year with us in 2017. Had that great 2016 in Houston. But I hope CJ's better. Jags history says they did that for depth, talking about adding the corner. Yeah, I mean, they're not hesitant to add, pieces here and there. Moon Illusion says, weird timing with that corner pickup. No. It is weird. That's the thing about Urban. See, like, Doug Marrone would, like, I don't know. It's weird. Like, Doug Marrone would, actually tell you what's happening. He was very transparent. He would tell you why they picked people up. He'd tell you why they cut people. He'd tell you why they made the moves. But you wouldn't really know how Marrone felt about everything. Urban is the complete opposite. Like, you know how he feels about everything, but he doesn't tell you why they do anything. So, you can read his face and his body language and his tone, and you can tell, oh, he's not happy with Cj Henderson. But his words are saying he took a personal day. I don't know with the future. They're complete opposites. Urban has a history of winning, so until he proves that otherwise, I'm going to default to Urban at least kind of knows what he's doing here. Jags history says, yeah, but Urban wants depth on the team and speed. DJM says, could trading DJ be something you're interested in? Chark for more. I think I would have to be I wouldn't trade Chark unless you were getting a guy like Michael Thomas, like an all-pro guy that you legit could plug in and transform your roster 100%. Kev B says, CJ's acceleration and hips are so smooth. What a waste of talent. Well, let's not, throw him off the ship yet, okay? I know it doesn't look good, and I know there was the saying, if it looks like a duck and talks like a duck, it probably is a duck, or where there's smoke, there's fire, any idiom you want to use. It's not looking good. But let's not jump off the plank quite yet. Let's give it a little more time. Jariah Salter says, CJ is Vernon Hargreaves. Trade him to Arizona for Chandler Jones, LOL. Oh, man, I hope not. Vernon Hargreaves is horrible. Vernon Hargreaves CJ is taller than Vernon Hargreaves. Hargreaves was 5'10". I think that was the most limiting thing about Vernon Hargreaves more than his, ability. CJ's, 6 foot? So I'll take that size any day of the week. Chandler Jones, that's interesting because we actually do have a need along the D-line at that big DN position. He's expensive. Would Chandler Jones want to come here? I guess he wouldn't have it to say, but I don't know. Nick F says they've picked up Treadwell, Taven Austin, Pharaoh Cooper too. Doesn't mean we are cutting Jones, Visker, CJ, or Colin Johnson. Just because we get some cornerback doesn't mean CJ is gone. That's true, and it really wouldn't surprise me if he got put on the PUP list or the special exemption list, and he didn't even count toward the 53. So that may be why they brought in some of this cornerback depth. At least for the first couple weeks of the season until they figure out, what's going on with him. We don't know. The dude had surgery last year. There's so many variables that could have happened. There's no telling what could have happened with him. He could just be really out of shape right now. Kev B says CJ jumped off the ship quacking like a duck on fire. Thanks, Kev B. Thanks for rolling those all into one. But I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see kind of what plays out here. The whole point of this video is I did kind of want to tell people to just calm down. He's a rookie. They're not going to trade him if there's something wrong with him. If there's something mentally wrong with him, a team is not going to trade for him. So he's going to be on our team. He's on his rookie deal. He's not he's hemorrhaging money from our squad. If he's just unhappy in Jacksonville, he does not want to play here. I think Urban's the type of guy that's not my guy, didn't draft him, ship him out for something cheap. I think Urban's kind of gotten a free pass this season anyways to kind of do whatever he wants as far as roster moves and things like that. So I think this would be the time to do something like that. So I don't know. It's so weird. I mean, I just wish we could go through one off season without like a person doing some crap like this, and us having to like deal with some person who's unhappy and we don't know why. Like, just come on, just do what you got to. Just play football. Nick F. We got to be supporting him, especially if it's personal reasons. Everyone is making assumptions and kind of hating / calling him soft. Honestly, I'd be fine with giving him a year off to get his head right instead of trading him. And Nick, I think that's the right way to look at it for sure. I haven't seen too many rational people calling him soft. I mean, there's obviously going to be idiots everywhere that say stupid stuff. I wouldn't necessarily call him soft because of what's happening. You're right, though. Like, and we will be. I mean, the Jaguars are a supportive organization now that Coughlin's gone, so I think that'll happen. Steve Boston. The past regime probably ruined him, honestly. They love to destroy players' confidence last year. Okay, I can see that argument. I don't necessarily know. I mean, if he is young, so maybe there is some lingering effects happening with him that the last regime happened. You would hope that he's kind of old enough and mature enough to kind of look past the past and move forward with his life. But who knows? DJM says Henderson or Camp, who has the higher ceiling? Ooh, that's a good question. I think it's Henderson. Like, the dude was a first-round pick. He was a top 10 pick. He was probably reached for at 9, no doubt, but he was projected a first-round pick. So Jalen Camp was some people had him not even drafted, and so I mean, I think Henderson definitely has the higher ceiling. I mean, can you imagine if we actually had a healthy CJ Henderson and a healthy, Tyson Campbell and a healthy Shaq Griffin? That's a solid 3 right there. I mean, that's a real solid 3. Magic Fan Ben. Urban clearly loves DJ, the person, and how he's responded to his challenge to put on weight. What Jags fan wouldn't want to see the most talented wide receiver we've had since A-Rob play with Trevor and good coaches? Yeah, I think you're right. I mean, I don't think anyone is trying to shoo him out of here. I mean, the hypothetical was, would you swap him for Michael Thomas? And that's tough. Because, like I said, Michael Thomas is one of the best in the league. Like, year after year. 8-Ball Juan says, if we do lose CJ, how would the secondary shape up? That's a good question. So I think how it looks now is you have CJ's gone. I think you have Shaq Griffin on. I think he likes to play the left side of the field. So if you're on defense and you're facing the offense, I think he likes the left. I think that would put Tyson Campbell on the right because Tyson Campbell has versatility. He could play inside, outside. I think Trey Herndon plays the nickel now, which is okay, but I could definitely see him losing that job to Sidney Jones. I know Sidney Jones and Herndon have, like, everyone keeps saying they have, like, the athleticism issues. They're not as athletic, which, I mean, they're professional football players. Like, they're athletic guys. Like, they said on the radio today, they said today so many times, like, how they lack athleticism. Let's get one thing straight. Sidney Jones and Trey Herndon do not lack athleticism. Absolutely not. Do they lack the athleticism to keep up with some of these top-tier receivers? Potentially, but I've seen Sidney Jones play enough snaps to know that he can hang with most NFL starters, in my opinion. Base Mover says, what are the chances CJ starts week 1 against the Texans? I think if he plays in the preseason, then there's a good chance. I think if he doesn't play, then I think there's a bad chance. So right now, it'd be hard. I'd say 50-50 right now, but I think after the preseason, week 1, we'll know exactly. Ace Ruther says, yo, what up, Ace? How's it going, bro? Good to see you. It's Reese says, I'd like to see him work through whatever he's going through with the Jags, but if he's not happy playing with the Jags, we got to get value for him. So I guess that's the balance that they're trying to weigh. If he's not, and we don't know that information. Like, we don't know if he's needs just some support and maybe he just needs some time to kind of figure out what he wants to do career-wise, or if he's just unhappy in Jacksonville. I mean, how he looked on draft day, this is what it looked like. It looked like the night before the draft. He's like, just Jacksonville, please don't draft me. Jacksonville, please don't draft me. And then Jacksonville draft. That's what his face looked like. Like, it was the last place he wanted to go, which is weird because he went to college like an hour and a half from here. It just looked like he doesn't want to be here. I mean, his body language is, I don't know. I mean, and that labrum surgery, I mean, that sucks. So, I mean, maybe it has something to do with it. DJM says, I kind of want Allen back, before back then signing DJ. Man, Allen Robinson is like legit, so I'm with you there, DJ. Moon Illusion says base mover, no clue. Most definitely. Jesus is King. What up, Jesus is King? He says the guys on the radio lack eye vision. We're not gonna talk about them. They do some good stuff, like sometimes. Moon Illusions, I hope we get clarity on the situation soon. We will. And this video is not to try to predict. This video is I just wanted to get y'all's thoughts. I wanted to get what you guys think about the situation. I think most people would agree that it is a little too early to predict what's going to happen. Like we don't know. I mean, they're starting to get some national attention, so that's not great if you're a Jags fan. But seeing things like trade for Michael Thomas and Chandler Jones, like I'm liking that. I'm liking that. GLZ Glizmo Master, I don't know, says, I think our roster is okay, but if we can get someone who can make a difference through a trade, then I'm all for it. What area of the field could we improve on with a CJ trade? Tight end is almost the only thing. I think we can improve at D-line. I mean, I think we could get a big D end. I mean, who are your big D ends right now? Devon Hamilton, Adam Gotsis, Roy Robertson Harris, Jahad Ward. I mean, I think Jahad Ward's an edge, but I mean, I think there we could upgrade. Tight end definitely, but I think they're cool with what they have. Offensive line, I mean, there's no telling. I mean, that's a good question. I mean, safety. I mean, the strong safety, free safety. I mean, Rashawn Jenkins is good, but I mean, there's still a battle for the other spot. I mean, there's definitely spots we could improve, especially on the defense. Moon Illusions, his reaction on draft night is how he always was, LOL. He was like that at Florida, too. Steve Boston, but on 1010XL mentioned when they saw him show up to camp not in shape like he was last year. That's kind of, if I can be completely honest with you guys, that's kind of, and I've mentioned it a couple times, that's kind of what I'm thinking happened. I think between the labrum surgery and the COVID, the dude was just straight out of shape. And he got back to camp. He realized that Urban is not Doug Marrone. He's only been in the league for one. Cj Henderson has been in the NFL for one season, and his coach was baloney-eating Doug Marrone. So you got to think the way that Henderson was thinking the NFL might have be run. It's not like there was these like veterans on the Jags last year that like took him aside and were like, this is how the NFL is. This is how to be professional. It was the youngest team in NFL history last year. I mean, they were so young. They had so many people that were just on rookie contracts. Like Henderson probably had no idea what real football coaching looked like in the NFL. And when Urban Meyer came in and was demanding this type of stuff, and CJ Henderson came overweight, no muscle tone, probably slow, he probably called him out, and Henderson probably just didn't respond the way. I mean, you got to think he probably called him out the same way he called out Chark. Maybe not publicly. And who knows how Henderson responded. He could have responded completely opposite as Chark. And he could have responded like, okay, screw you, Urban. I'm out of here. That's what it seems like to me. But, I mean, that's some quite the conjecturing on my part. King David says, it seems like Henderson doesn't want to own it. Ooh. When he's wearing that Jag symbol. You know, I think that's well said, King David. You're very wise, just like King David was. Moon Illusions, I saw that Josh Oliver caught a few touchdowns yesterday. Wish we could have kept him. Josh Oliver is so out of my mind. So out of my mind. I never want to even think about Josh Oliver ever again. Oh, man. Panthers head coach Matt Rule at the Combine in 2020 said he rode an elevator with a prospect and decided to never draft him. I'm certain he was talking about CJ. I like it, Kev B. I do. DJM, when are you going to go visit UCF studio? Oh, that's a good question. I'll have to go down there and do that sometime. I go to Orlando. I try to make one trip to Orlando during the Magic season. I'm a big Orlando Magic fan. I make a trip down to Tampa for a Rays game every year. I do an away game for the Jags, and those are like my 3 trips typically. So, maybe. Base mover. Josh Oliver seemed like he was injured on purpose for him to be catching passes now. If Josh Oliver has any type of production in the NFL, it'd be the most complete stroke of luck I've ever seen in my entire life. I mean, the guy was never good, ever, in the NFL. Not even in practice, not in camp, not in the Jags. He's up there with Will Richardson with me, with one of the worst players we've ever drafted. Jags history says exactly Jaguars United. Thank you. Someone agrees with me. Ben Hone says Taven Bryan and CJ Henderson are potential bad seeds. I don't know much about Taven Bryan and the way he is in the locker room. He seems kind of like a derp to me. I don't know if that's a bad seed. It could be. CJ does kind of seem like a bad seed. I wouldn't want him in my locker room, if I'm being completely honest with you. I mean, I wouldn't want his attitude in my locker room. Obviously, I'd want his athleticism and his potential and ceiling. But yeah, Urban seems like a big attitude guy. I mean, if you come in and you make your mantra own it, you're a big attitude guy. And I've talked about a bunch how I love that mantra. And I think you're right. You know, he didn't come in and he didn't own his position. He didn't own his responsibility. He came into camp out of shape. He came in slow, not ready. I mean, Henderson, you know, relied a lot on his like pure talent and athleticism and instincts a lot. So for him to come in and be out of shape, that's probably not doing a lot for him for sure. Steve Boston says, makes sense, Jason, when he did show up, Urban put him on that exercise bike in front of the team while they were stretching. Probably rubbed him the wrong way. Like you said, Urban is going to call anyone out. Yeah, I think you're right. Charlie Boy, do you think we still trade for Zach Ertz? I don't think we make a move for a tight end this year. I think there's a couple positions that we will move for next year. D tackle, big D end, and tight end. I think that all comes next year. Jesus is King with the $5 donation. Thank you, Jesus is King. I appreciate it. He said, I saw Jaguars show this morning. They said tight end Ellison showing promising. Doesn't sound like Tebow has a shot. Your thoughts? I mean, you got to remember, like, I don't know if I'm, like, reading too far into it, but, like, Urban, like I said earlier in the show, he's not going to, like, tell you how he really feels. He doesn't let people film practice. Like that's like very Belichick-esque. Like if you look at Bill Belichick, and I love Bill Belichick. I studied Bill Belichick when I was coaching because I wanted to be just like him when I was younger as a coach. And I read all of the literature on Bill Belichick and things about him. And Bill Belichick would himself and also tell his staff members to intentionally put out misinformation. I'm not saying that Urban is doing this with a guy like Ellison, but the reality of it is a guy like Urban is not going to tell you how he really feels. He's not. I'm not really buying into this whole Ellison thing. Could Urban keep a couple of tight ends on the roster more than usual because he kind of likes those flex-type offensive players potentially? I don't think Tebow's chances have diminished. I think, if anything, the Jags have been more impressed with him more than anything. King David says, Taven was a bad pick seed at the time of the pick. Yeah. Jags history. I saw a report today saying that CJ will be a bigger bust than Taven Bryan. Don't know how that's possible. Well, what we do know is that he won't be a bigger bust than Justin Blackmon. And then we know Blackmon won't be a bigger bust than Luke Jokel. So it's all good in the hood, my guys. Jersey Jaguars, sitting here listening to this while doing a 1,000-piece Jaguars jigsaw puzzle. What happens first? I finish it or CJ shows up to camp? Oh, dude, 1,000-piece? That's actually kind of goated. I'm not going to lie, bro. I mean, how long have you been working on that, bro? I mean, I'm a puzzler myself, so I feel you there. I like it. Jaguar one, that's pretty cool. You'll have to tweet us a picture when it's finished. Moon Illusions, I can agree with that. CJ has always been cold and isolated, complete opposite of a guy like Allen and Griffin. Yeah, for sure. Gizmo Master. Has the reputation of CJ fallen with the fans, or is it just the few fans that are active on Twitter and YouTube? I think Urban putting him on the exercise bike in front of camp probably was the biggest thing that hurt his reputation more than anything. Like, I'm trying to think back at like the timeline and like what happened. Like the shoulder injury, that's fair. Coming in COVID, coming in out of shape. People, I mean, and look, the elephant in the room, whatever, it may be justified, but Jags fans just love to hate on Gators that were drafted. I don't know what it is. It's like they're sick glutton for punishment for like relishing in the fact that we can't draft a Gator. When that completely ignores the fact that we can't draft anybody, whether you go to LSU or UCF, or it doesn't matter where you go. It doesn't work. But Jags fans love to harp on the fact that we can't draft a Gator when Juwan Taylor may work out, Mike Peterson, Fred Taylor. I mean, guys in our history Gators have been pretty good. I think that's part of it too. I think some of that's part of it too. But I don't know. That's a good question. Antonio Rivera says a trade of CJ and Taven for Xavier Howard in Miami. The cornerback wants out. I thought I saw they restructured his deal. Are they giving him more money? But from the looks of things, it seems like that situation's kind of resolved. Shay J. What up, Shay? He says, speaking of Urban, I've seen several national media guys who have watched Jags camp say it was one of the most well-run and organized practices they've seen. That seemed like a good change. That's a good point. Now, that has come out from the national media. A lot of people are saying that. And even like fans like us, like Shay, I know Shay has seen a lot of Jaguars football. Just with your own eyes, you can see the way that he's run the camp. It's been very impressive. So, look, I was optimistic about Urban when he got hired, and I'm equally optimistic now. And I've kind of tapered myself. I used to be like his hype man, but now I'm just like, let's just let it play out. Rays says Justin Blackmon looked so good when he was on. Remember watching preseason against the Saints? So much wasted potential. Justin Blackmon may be the greatest player that never was, in my opinion, across any sport. Tracy McGrady, for those of you that are old enough, like was an amazing basketball player, and he was injured a lot, and he could have been up there in the conversations with guys like Kobe, honestly. But he was super injured. But even he reached a level of stardom that was like, okay, at least he like made it that far. Like Justin Blackmon, man, he was so good, and just didn't work. Moon Illusions, wait, what happened with the bike? So Moon Illusions, what happened is basically when Henderson came to the training camp and couldn't practice because he was still in like COVID protocol or whatever it was. Like I guess you have to like sit out a certain amount of days before you can practice. Urban had him riding the exercise bike in the middle of the field in front of the entire team, stretching and warming up, like making it a spectacle. Like this guy is letting you guys down. This guy is not being a team player. This guy is not doing what you're doing. This essentially saying this guy is being selfish. That was the message Urban was saying, and that probably rubbed CJ Henderson the wrong way. 1% says they better keep him, man. Yeah, I hope so. DJM, why aren't there any Lambo and Cook content updates? Kickers never get any respect. Well, Lambo, I mean, they've been talking about that Lambo, kicker battle. I mean, I'm getting kind of tired of hearing about that, but Cook's just a great punter. They're good players. They don't get respect. You're right, but they don't get talked about because they're good players. So there's something to be said about that. Tuggernut says, I think Ramsey stuff has a lot of fans on the edge about CJ. Having another talented corner possibly not wanting to be here definitely stings a bit. Yeah, that's a good point. That's true. I didn't even think about that. The Ramsey thing is pretty recent, and people that are Ramsey fans are just happy that he's in. If you're a Ramsey fan, you're probably a Ram fan. There's not many. I don't hate Ramsey as much as everyone else does. I'll just say that. CJ DSO, what's up, CJ? He says Henderson is probably a toxic personality in the locker room. Urban is going to kick people off of his bus who don't want to ride it. I like it. I like that. Yeah, I think you're right. Kev B, Moon Illusions. Urban dragged CJ's bike out from the tent and put it right next to the players running drills. That's such an Urban move. Nick F19. Justin Blackmon was also really good in the 2 years he played. Yeah, he was. One of my favorite Jaguars. Moon Illusions just says simply, wow. Magic Fan Ben, how dare you bring up Tracy McGrady and the names of never. Yeah, you're right. I did preface it with T-Mac could have been on the level of Kobe. So that's how much I revere T-Mac. So in no way was I putting him down. Because, like I said, Tracy McGrady is one of my favorite players growing up. Junior Jags Press. Saints are interested in CJ Henderson, just wondering what offer they will bring to the table. I don't know, man. Like, are they interested in CJ, or are they just going to inquire about every corner that might be available? I mean, I guess interest is a pretty broad word. Moon Illusions, why aren't the other corners trying to help CJ? You think a mentor like Shaq would reach out to him? Maybe they have. I mean, maybe they have reached out to him. Maybe they've tried. From the sound of it, if Urban had to go to his house, he probably wasn't responding. If you're not responding to your coach, you're probably not going to respond to your teammates. But I mean, again, we don't know all the details. Ray says, but T-Mac with the health of a LeBron could have been a top 10 ever. That's what I'm trying to say. Jacob says, just trade CJ to a bad team. LOL. I think they're going to trade him to whoever gives them the most value if they do trade him. Gerald McKinnon. What up, Gerald? He says, I wonder if putting CJ out there on the bike might have also rubbed some of the players the wrong way. I haven't seen much backlash from the players. I haven't seen anything. I mean, I know it's early. We haven't even played one preseason game, but it kind of seems like the players are on board with what Urban's doing. I mean, you got to remember, this is still a young team. I mean, there are a lot of young guys. You got to remember, the guys that were on the roster last year that were rookies or first-year players, or, you know, they haven't had a lot of experience with NFL coaches like Urban. So this is probably a huge culture shift for a lot of those guys. But honestly, I think Urban's kind of got about it the right way. I mean, like I've always harped on that own it mantra is like, that's the way to do it. I mean, that's the way you hold people accountable. Like, do your job. I mean, you hear it said a bunch of different ways, like taking responsibility for what you do. I mean, if you don't do your job, you're not going to be on the team. CJ Henderson, if you don't play, look, there are these guys that don't ever go to training camp and they don't go to preseason and they just show up and they play. But you have to kind of earn that. You can't just like come in as a second-year player who's played 5 games and expect that. So maybe that's where he's at with it. DJM says, do you think Henderson has loyalty to Marone and Caldwell? Does he have beef with what the Cons did? I doubt it. This guy seems pretty self-interested, so I doubt that he would have beef with the past regime and how they were handled. Hot Cozen says, just trade CJ and maybe a 4th-round pick for Michael Thomas from the Saints. I don't know if a 4th would be enough. I like where your head's at, but it might take a 3rd or a 2nd. I mean, Michael Thomas is the real deal. James Swan, what's the minimum you would take to trade CJ? That's a tough question, and I hate answering with this, but it depends. Like, if he doesn't want to be in Jacksonville and he just is going to pull a Jalen and just never play until his contract's up, then just get what you can get for him. If he is a guy that's just unhappy with the coach, doesn't like the way Urban treated him, feels disrespected, maybe wants to play for a more player-friendly coach that'll let him just show up to the regular season and have his starting job, then I would need some serious value. I mean, at least a 3rd-round pick. I mean, he's not that far removed from being a 1st-round pick. And it's not just a 1st-round pick, a top 10 pick at that. So, yeah, I mean, it would be heavy for me, for sure. CJ DSO says, do the Jags flip Henderson for a tight end? I don't think so. I don't think Urban has a tight end in mind. I don't think Urban wants to use a tight end the way that we want Urban to use a tight end, if that makes any sense. Ben Hone says, it would be the most Jaguar thing ever if the person we drafted to replace Ramsey ends up quitting on the team and leaving just like Ramsey. That would be the most Jaguar thing. King David, you are in the NFL in the highest status of the game, and coming in with weight issues shows a lack of discipline, which is not good going forward for the Jags. And King David, you are a wise man, I must say. DJM, what does CJ have to do to be a starter week 1? That's a good question. Like, what would he have to do? Like, in reality, I mean, obviously, Urban's going to make you win your job. I think he's got to play. I think he's got to play at least in the 2nd preseason game, right? He's got to get past whatever it is. I mean, maybe he is out of shape. Maybe he's still sick. I mean, COVID's serious. I mean, maybe the COVID's lingering, and he's not in as good shape as he should be. I think he's got to at least play in that week 2, and he's got to at least show that he can be on the field. I would think. Moon Illusions, who do we think our starting safeties will be? Jenkins and Cisco. I saw Jones was getting some first-team reps. Everything that I'm seeing is pointing toward Josh Jones getting that starting job at strong safety. Cisco, I think is good, but I have some concerns with Cisco and his film. The way that he had a tendency to bite on pump fakes and overcommit. Get his eyes in the backfield. I don't know if he's ready. I'm not there every day. I don't watch training camps, but it doesn't seem like that he's ready quite yet. Drod Wilson, I mean, he's still on the team, right? I can see Drod Wilson starting. Kev B says plenty of players would have talked to him, guys who want to be leaders / captains. Tebow would have asked CJ to pray with him. They'll keep it in private, but I'm sure players have offered plenty of help. Yeah, I think you're right. Steve Boston, another $5 donation. Steve, thank you, man. Thank you. He says, that's what I've been saying this whole time. Urban doesn't utilize a tight end to its fullest. Maybe. I mean, look, these coaches get stuck in their ways, and if Urban wants a tight end that is going to block, leak out, let him do it, dude. The dude, I mean, he may be under the notion that if a tight end's on the field, he's blocking, and if a receiver's on the field, he's catching. So he's going to have 4 wide receivers when he wants to throw, and he's going to have a tight end when he wants to run. It's not the craziest thing in the world, but, coaches think that way. CJ DSO says Henderson probably tried to apply for unemployment. We're not getting into that. CJ. James Swan, if you had to put money on it, who starts at quarterback week 1? Trevor Lawrence. But I know I had a whole argument with UCF Jaguar that I could see Minshew starting. The only reason why I said that is because Urban would be the only coach in the NFL that would start Gardner week 1. He would be the only coach. He would be like, Gardner, give us our best chance to win week 1, and he'd trot Gardner out there. Because Urban, say whatever you want about like what he should do. I mean, the radio was like railing him today about it's like it needs to stop that Gardner gets first team reps. Like, do you think for a second that Urban gives one crap about what you think? Look at the things that Urban has done. He brought in Tebow, did not care about the backlash. He brought in that linebackers coach, strength coach, didn't care about the backlash. Urban does not care. He canceled a scrimmage on 15,000 fans. Urban does not care. And that's kind of what I like about him, to be honest with you. He's the only coach in the NFL that would trot out Gardner Minshew week 1 and would not give a single crap about what you think. That's all I'm going to say. Harley Morrell. What's up, Harley? He says, Sleep Cisco is ready, brother. All right. Dude, I like Cisco. I like him for sure. I hope he's ready. I just don't know. Moon Illusions. Minshew Swan. James Swan. Minshew season $500. What have you been sipping on tonight, United? Woohoo! You know me, bro. I like to stay hydrated with that good. I don't like to tell people because it's Monday night, you know what I'm saying? All right, Jags history. Urban has been successful wherever he has been. What makes people think that he cares what they think about how he coaches? Jags history, that is my point exactly, 100% for sure. All right, man, dude, I love that we have, almost 70 people in the chat and we're, over an hour in. But I think that's going to be the end of the show for me tonight. Dude, I really appreciate you guys. I'm having a lot of fun talking about the Jags recently. Probably going to be doing live shows a lot of nights during the week. So make sure you get the notifications. Click that little bell to get a notification because, this is all about you guys. I love seeing y'all's comments. I love talking with other Jags fans. I must say, this is like the most down-to-earth conversation I've ever had with Jags fans. You guys are all kind of like getting it. I agree with you guys. Like, usually I'm having to like talk you guys off the ledge, but most of you guys are saying like, let's just let it play out. Let's let Cj Henderson kind of figure out what he's doing and see what's happening with him and in his brain and his body and all that stuff. Like, let's just be patient. Let's take a deep breath. Thank you to everyone that was here in the chat. Some of you guys that were here all night, dude. Y-Doc, dude, I appreciate it. King David, Moon Illusions. Dude, Steve Boston, I appreciate the donations. It's Reese. Thanks for the donation. Jesus is King. Thank you. You guys humble me by doing that for sure. Dude, love talking with you guys. I can't wait till we get some film breakdowns, like someone said in the chat. I mean, we're going to start breaking down film preseason, so that's less than a week away before we're breaking down film, and we can't monetize these videos anymore, but that's okay. It's what we do around here. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you guys for being here. Follow all the social media and all that stuff.